Welcome to the Deep Dive, your source for daily cybersecurity news.
Glad to be here.
We've got a lot to unpack today, from AI controversies to ransomware crackdowns.
And zero-day exploits? Oh my.
Let's dive right in. Our first story comes from Nair on security. It's about the Department of Government Efficiency.
Doge.
Right? Yeah, Doge. They've launched this AI-driven initiative aimed at cutting costs.
Led by Elon Musk and backed by none other than Donald Trump.
It's definitely raising eyebrows. Some say it's a bold move towards efficiency. Others are worried about the implications of AI analyzing sensitive government data.
And of course, there are the concerns about job displacement.
Nair calls it AI and civil service scourges.
A bit dramatic. But it captures the anxiety surrounding this initiative.
It does. What are your thoughts on AI in government? Is it a force for good or a potential disaster?
It's a powerful tool, that's for sure. But like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It all comes down to how it's implemented and the safeguards that are put in place.
So we need to proceed with caution.
Absolutely. We can't just blindly embrace AI without considering the potential consequences.
Moving on, the U.S. Justice Department has announced charges against 2 Russian individuals linked to the Phobos ransomware operation.
That's a big win for law enforcement. Phobos has been a real menace, extorting millions from businesses and organizations worldwide.
Over 1,000 victims in the U.S. alone.
And over $16 million in ransom payments. It's a stark reminder of the devastating impact of ransomware.
Speaking of devastating impacts, there's been some concerning news about Beyond Trust, a company that provides privileged access management solutions.
A zero-day vulnerability has been discovered in their privileged remote access and remote support products.
And there are reports that Chinese state-sponsored attackers may have already exploited it to gain access to workstations at the U.S. Treasury.
That's a major security breach, if true. We're talking about highly sensitive financial data.
Adding another layer of complexity, this Beyond Trust vulnerability was linked to a previously unknown SQL injection flaw in PostgreSQL.
It's a chain reaction, one vulnerability leading to another. It highlights the interconnected nature of software and the importance of staying vigilant.
It's a good thing both vulnerabilities have been patched.
Yes, but it's a race against time. Attackers are always looking for ways to exploit these flaws before patches are available.
Speaking of 0 days, there's another one making headlines, CVE 2025-0108. It affects Palo Alto Networks' Panos firewalls.
And it's already being actively exploited. Palo Alto Networks is urging users to restrict access to the management web interface to trusted IPs until a patch is released.
That's a lot to deal with for security teams. It seems like every day there's a new vulnerability to patch.
That's the reality of cybersecurity. It's a constant game of cat and mouse.
But amidst all this chaos, there's some good news coming out of Germany. They seem to be taking a very proactive approach to cybersecurity.
The Federal Office for Information Security, or BSI, is collaborating with the city of Hamburg to strengthen their defenses.
And they're focusing on awareness training for public sector employees, which is so important. You can have the best technology in the world, but if your people aren't aware of the risks, it's all for nothing.
Absolutely. Human error is still one of the biggest vulnerabilities.
I'm glad to see governments recognizing that and taking steps to address it. Now let's shift gears and talk about the human element in cybersecurity.
Often overlooked, but absolutely crucial.
The LA County Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO, has some interesting insights on this.
They believe that connecting cybersecurity to employees' personal lives can make a real difference in their engagement and understanding of the risks.
Making it relatable instead of just another set of abstract rules to follow.
Exactly. They try to show employees how these principles apply to their own data and online activities.
It's a clever approach. By making it personal, you're more likely to get people to take it seriously.
It's about empowering individuals to protect themselves and the organization.
Now let's dive back into the world of vulnerabilities. CISA has added another flaw to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. This one affects Simple Help, a remote support software. It's tracked as CVE 2024-57727.
Attackers are actively exploiting this one, so it's crucial for organizations using Simple Help to patch their systems ASAP.
Another reminder that attackers are always on the lookout for new ways to exploit vulnerabilities.
A never-ending cycle.
This next story is a bit unusual. Valve, the company behind the popular video game platform, Steam removed a game called Pyrify because it contained malware.
Malware hiding in a video game. It's a reminder that threats can lurk in unexpected places.
We need to be cautious about the software we download and install no matter where it comes from.
Even something as seemingly harmless as a video game can be used to spread malware.
Let's circle back to zero-day vulnerabilities for a moment. The Palo Alto Networks Panos firewall vulnerability, CVE 2025-0108.
Security Affairs reported that attackers are actively exploiting this one, so it's even more important to follow Palo Alto Networks' recommendation and restrict access to the management web interface to trusted IPs.
Until a patch is available. It seems like patching is more important than ever.
It's essential. But it's not enough. Organizations need to adopt a multi-layer approach to security, including principles like zero trust and defense in depth.
It's about creating a security posture that can withstand even the most sophisticated attacks. Before we move on, I want to acknowledge the work of security researchers.
They play a vital role in identifying and reporting these vulnerabilities.
Often a thankless job, but their contributions are invaluable.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of cybersecurity.
It's a never-ending battle, but one we have to fight. And speaking of fighting the good fight, Germany seems to be taking a very proactive approach to cybersecurity.
Definitely. Their Federal Office for Information Security, the BSI, you mean?
Yeah, the BSI. They're collaborating with the city of Hamburg to strengthen their cyber defenses.
It's a smart move, sharing threat intelligence, coordinating incident response. Those kinds of things can make a big difference.
They're also focusing on awareness programs for public sector employees.
Ah, the human element. Can't forget about that.
Exactly. It's all about making sure people are aware of the risks and know how to protect themselves and their organizations.
You know, it's interesting how Germany is also taking a stand against digital violence.
Yeah, the BSI is working to define what exactly constitutes digital violence, and they're developing support systems for victims.
It's a growing problem, especially as our lives become more and more intertwined with the digital world.
It's a good reminder that cybersecurity isn't just about protecting data and systems, it's also about protecting people.
Speaking of protecting people, the LA County CSO's approach to employee awareness training is really something else.
It is. They're really trying to connect cybersecurity to employees' personal lives.
Making it relatable, instead of just a bunch of rules and regulations.
They want employees to understand how cybersecurity impacts their own data and online activities.
Brilliant. Because when it's personal, people tend to pay more attention.
And are more likely to take it seriously. Now let's talk about something a bit more technical. The FBI and CISA has issued a joint advisory urging developers to adopt memory-safe programming practices.
That's huge. Buffer overflow vulnerabilities, they're trying to eliminate those. They're considered unforgivable defects in code.
And for good reason. They can have serious security consequences.
The FBI and CISA have a whole list of recommendations for developers to follow.
Using memory-safe programming languages, rigorous testing procedures, all that good stuff.
It's about building more secure software from the ground up.
And it's about time. We've been dealing with buffer overflow vulnerabilities for far too long.
It's a proactive approach, and a much-needed one.
Now back to the world of vulnerabilities, CISA has added another flaw to its known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. This one affects Simple Help, a remote support software tracked as CVE 2024-57727.
Attackers are actively exploiting it, so if you're using Simple Help, patch your systems now.
Like right again, don't wait.
Seriously, this is not a drill.
Now for a slightly lighter story, Valve, the company behind the popular video game platform, Steam, removed a game called Pyrify because it contained malware.
Malware in a video game, wow. That's sneaky.
It just goes to show that threats can lurk anywhere. We need to be careful about what we download and install, even if it seems harmless.
A good reminder to always have a healthy dose of skepticism when it comes to the digital world.
Let's get back to those pesky zero-day vulnerabilities. The Palo Alto Networks Panos firewall vulnerability, CVE 2025-0108.
Still being actively exploited.
What can organizations do to protect themselves?
Well, Palo Alto Networks is recommending restricting access to the management web interface to trusted IPs until a patch is available.
But patching isn't always a quick fix. Sometimes it takes time for vendors to release patches.
That's why it's so important to have other security measures in place, like zero trust and defense in depth.
Multiple layers of security to help mitigate the impact of an exploit, even if a patch isn't immediately available.
Exactly. It's about making it as difficult as possible for attackers to succeed.
So even with zero-days, organizations can still protect themselves. It just takes a bit more effort.
And a good security strategy.
Before we move on, I want to take a moment to appreciate the hard work of security researchers.
They're the ones who find these vulnerabilities and report them.
Often putting in long hours and facing a lot of pressure.
They don't always get the recognition they deserve, but they play a crucial role in keeping us safe online.
We owe them a debt of gratitude. Now let's take a short break before we wrap up our cybersecurity news roundup. We've covered a lot of ground today, from government AI to ransomware and zero-day exploits.
It's been a whirlwind of cybersecurity news.
One of the biggest takeaways for me is the importance of collaboration.
Absolutely. We saw that with Germany's BSI and the city of Hamburg working together to strengthen their defenses.
And it's not just about government. Organizations need to collaborate too, sharing information and best practices.
We're all in this together, right? Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility.
We also can't ignore the growing role of AI.
It's a powerful tool that can be used for both good and bad.
It has the potential to revolutionize cybersecurity, but it also presents new challenges.
We need to be thinking about how to build secure AI systems and how to defend against AI-powered attacks.
It's a whole new frontier, and we're just starting to explore it.
Speaking of new frontiers, the LA County CCISO's approach to employee awareness training is quite innovative.
It is. They're really trying to make cybersecurity relatable by connecting it to employees' personal lives.
It's a smart move because when people understand how cybersecurity impacts their own lives, they're more likely to take it seriously.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways for our listeners? What can they do to stay safe in this ever-evolving threat landscape?
Stay informed, keep up with the latest threats and vulnerabilities.
Read security blogs, follow reputable researchers on social media, subscribe to newsletters.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely. And practice good cyber hygiene, strong passwords. Be cautious of phishing emails, keep your software updated.
The basics are still the most important.
And if you're ever unsure about something, don't be afraid to ask for help.
There are resources available, your IT department security professionals' online forums.
Don't go it alone. Cybersecurity is a team effort.
We're all in this together, and by working together, we can make the digital world a safer place.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay safe.